She went from being a vilified royal mistress to the woman who will now shape the future of the monarchy. Camilla Parker Bowles has come a long way in the eyes of her country and the world. It's the most controversial story about Princess Diana ever, and her family tried very hard to stop it. In a moment, you'll see why the Queen Consort Camilla has always been in the news for bad reasons. From being called the third person in Prince Charles and Diana's marriage to being blamed for the marriage not happening. Sheila has been the target of a lot of negative media attention. Do you think, Mrs. Parker's nonsense played a part in the end of your marriage? There were 3 of us in the marriage, so it was pretty crowded. Maybe that's why she finally snapped. Did she snap under the pressure of all the attention she was getting, and what did she do? Join us as we find out the truth about the serious accusations made against Queen Camilla. She is guilty as charged. Queen Consort Camilla has been the subject of public attention ever since her involvement with the then Prince of Wales. Prince Charles had an affair with Princess Diana, which caused their marriage to end. The public turned their backs on Camilla, and ever since she has been slandered and abused. When the late Princess Diana was still a working royal, she was loved by the public and became known as the People's Princess. People all over the world quickly came to her defense when her husband, King Charles Roman III, then Prince Charles, had an affair. Diana was affected by Charles's cheating, but she wasn't afraid to stand up for herself or confront Camilla. Camilla's sister Annabel Elliot was throwing a party, and Diana was invited as a courtesy. No one thought the Princess of Wales would show up, but Diana was unpredictable, so she did. Diana didn't make any friends at that party, but the princess's presence at the party set the tone for a spooky evening. After an hour of awkwardness, Diana called for her bodyguard to help her. She told him she couldn't find her husband or Camilla, and the 2 of them set off to look for them. After a short time, they found the prince and Camilla sitting on a sofa in the basement of that house, just talking. When Diana saw them, she shook her head and confronted Camilla in a way that was the first time she had ever. Diana gathered all of her strength and dignity and walked up to them both. She told Camilla not to treat her like an idiot because she knew what was going on between her and the prince. Camilla, not one to back down, quickly hit back at the princess with words that hinted at the continuation of their affair even though Diana knew about it. Camilla told the princess that at least she had 2 beautiful children from the marriage in 1992, just over a decade after they got married. Following their wedding, Charles and Diana split up, which led to their final divorce decree in 1995. Diana agreed to get a divorce from Prince Charles, and 2 years later, she died in a car accident. Since then, fans of the princess have called for an investigation into Camilla, saying that she had a reason to kill the Princess of Wales. Diana's death ruined both Charles and Camilla's plans, but how chasing the wind when Prince Charles heard about Princess Diana's accident. The first person he called was the person he called wasn't the Queen, who was enjoying the summer break with her kids and grandchildren. Instead, he picked up the phone right away to call his longtime mistress Camilla Parker. Because Camilla, as she had done many times before, told the prince that everything would be okay because Diana was a young woman and in the best shape of her life. They both agreed that Diana would get better, but she didn't. He called her and told her the bad news. She started crying right away, and she grabbed a pack of cigarettes from her nightstand and lit them up and puffed away nervously while her lover sobbed over the phone. It was expected that Charles would be devastated by the death of his son's mother, and both Charles and Camilla agreed that it would be best to let William and Harry sleep one last time before telling them the bad news. But there was another selfish reason for this. Behind their tears, Charles asked his lover what would happen to them now that it had been almost 5 years since John Major, the Prime Minister, told the House of Commons that the Prince and Princess of Wales were officially splitting up. At the time, the public had finally started to like Camilla after a well-publicized 50th birthday party Charles threw for her. Polls showed that 68% of Britons thought it was time for the couple to get married with Diana and Charles. With her new Egyptian-born boyfriend making almost every news story that summer, Camilla and the prince were more sure than ever that things were about to turn around for Camilla. On September 13, Camilla was going to keep the momentum going by hosting a charity ball with a lot of famous people to raise money for the National Osteoporosis Society. Camilla has been a supporter of the Royal Osteoporosis Society, and this was going to be her first public appearance as a couple at a major event. However, the ball was cancelled when Diana's death was announced. According to the Daily Mail, Charles's plans to marry Camilla, the woman who had been his mistress for 25 years, were ruined along with their vacation plans at Balmoral in late September. If Charles ever wanted to marry the woman, he and Camilla knew that their plans would have to be put off until a very long time from now. Camilla, who had finally divorced her husband Andrew Parker B.S. in 1995, had once again become the most hated woman in the realm. Was it she who ended the Prince of Wales' marriage and drove the much-had, mired Diana to suicidal thoughts? Camilla had to tell a neighbor that she knew the people had to blame someone, and she knew that person would be her. Diana had said that she feared for her life and thought someone was out to get her. Were her fears justified? Was Camilla involved in the ACT unmatched paranoia in 1995 after her divorce, when Diana fired her royal bodyguards on one fateful night at night? She was driving alone in London in her green Audi convertible. When she got to a traffic light, she slammed on the brakes, but nothing happened. She was worried, so she kept slamming them on. The car rolled into the intersection safely, and she quickly got out of the car and took a cab back to Kensington Palace, where she quickly wrote a note to her friends Elsa Balker, Lucia Fletch de Lima, Simone Simmons, and Lady Annabel Goldsmith, saying that the brakes on her car had been tampered with. Some of her fans say that Camilla wrote 10 months before she went to Paris with doty Diana about how she would die, and it was a scary accurate description of what would happen. She said that she was sitting at her desk in October, wanting someone to hug her and tell her to stay strong and hold her head high. She thought that this was the most dangerous time for her because she thought someone was planning an accident. In her scary prediction, she said, "This is the most dangerous time of my life. Someone with their name blacked out is planning an accident in my car, causing brake failure and serious head injuries so that Charles and Camilla can get married." In her October 196 letter, Diana complained about what she saw as 16 years of mistreatment at the hands of the men in gray. On this sad day in Paris, Mohammed Alaid had no knowledge of Diana's earlier letter, but there was no doubt in his mind that she was planning Dodi and the princess were the targets of an assassination plot. Elaine got to PTI Salpêtrière Hospital 50 minutes after 3 a.m. on August 31 and was told that his son had already been taken to the morgue. 10 minutes later, Diana was pronounced dead on Alad's orders. Diana's things were taken back to Syria with Dod's, while Alad's helicopter took Dodd's body to be buried before sunset, as required by Islamic law. Diana, whose son would one day lead the Church of England, was the only priest working at the hospital, a Roman Catholic priest, gave the princess her last rites. In another strange turn of events, British Consul General Keith Moss gave the go-ahead for Diana's body to be partially embalmed and preserved from the waist up. This was done for cosmetic reasons because the hospital didn't have enough air conditioning and the princess's injuries were so bad. French embalmer Jean Monod told Moss that the body would soon be in no condition for viewing by the family unless something was done. Before he went to Paris, Prince Charles was very interested in how his ex-wife looked. At one point, he called Nurse Humber at P.S. Petrier Hospital to tell her that the princess would want to look her best for the important people who were coming to pay their respects that day. The formaldehyde used in embalming taints many toxicological tests, so a full autopsy can't be done. Many people have suggested that the shady dealings surrounding Diana's death and the fact that her body was only partially embalmed where Diana once said that Camilla was the third person in her marriage. How and why was Camilla the third person in Diana's marriage? Prince Charles and Camilla met through a mutual friend, Lucia Santa Cruz, who was one of his first love interests after they met at Cambridge University. Reports say that the two hit it off right away and became good friends. According to the Washington Post, Camilla even introduced herself to the future king by saying that her great-grandmother Camilla was the mistress of Charles's great-great-grandfather, so she thought they had something in common. They were instantly attracted to each other, and the young prince pursued her with long, flowery love letters and late-night phone calls. He also liked that she liked living in the country with horses and hunting. The couple spent one last weekend together in December 1972, and Charles then wrote to his great Uncle Louis Mountbatten, who the royal family affectionately called Uncle Dickie, that it would be the last time he saw him. After 8 months of seeing her, Camilla and Andrew got engaged. When Charles heard the news, he was heartbroken. The Prince of Wales locked himself in his cabin for 2 days and nights and wouldn't come out for meals. In August 1979, Uncle Dickie was killed by the Irish Republican Army. I remember being deeply angry when my great-uncle Lord Mountbatten and other relatives of mine were blown to pieces 19 years ago. Charles turned to Camilla for comfort after hearing the news. She was the only person who could make him feel better. After the death of his great-uncle, Charles's lover and best friend, Camilla was his second affair. It lasted until Charles and Diana got engaged in 1981. Charles had planned to slowly bring Camilla into the royal family after his divorce from Diana was finalized. But after Diana's death in August 1997, and the outpouring of grief from fans around the world, things had to change. Camilla's wedding to Prince Charles was not her first. She had been married before to someone else. Why did her first marriage fail? There were risks involved. On July 4, 1973, Captain Andrew Parker B.S. and Selah Shand got married in front of 800 guests at the Guards Chapel in Wellington Barracks, London. It was the most talked-about social event of that British summer. Both of them had close ties to the royal family. Andrew Parker B.S.'s parents were friends of the Queen Mother, and he had been a page at the coronation of Andrew Parker B.S., a British Army officer who would rise to the rank of brigadier, met Camilla in the late 1960s. He and Queen Elizabeth Roman II were already romantically linked to Prince Charles at the time. The couple didn't announce they were engaged until 1973, but on July 4, 1973, they were married in a Roman Catholic ceremony followed by a reception at St. James's Palace. Queen Mother, Princess Margaret, and Princess Anne were among the guests. B.S. stayed married until 1995 and lived together in Middlewick House, a Georgian-style home in Wiltshire. They had 2 children together, Tom Parker B.S. and Laura Lope, and 5 grandchildren, Lola and Freddie Parker B.S., Eliza Lewis, and Gus Lopez. Freddie Lewis and Gus were among the 8 pages of honor at the coronation of King Charles Roman III. Andrew and Camilla are still friendly, even though they are no longer together. In fact, on May 6, 2023, the Queen's first husband was one of the people gathered at Westminster Abbey to see King Charles Roman III crowned. Selah is probably a little nervous about the upcoming coronation, and the fact that her ex-husband Andrew Parker B.S. will also be there. Andrew's presence showed how important he was in royal circles, and how much he still cared about his first wife. In October 2022, a court circular said that Andrew had represented the then Queen Consort at the funeral of John Beauslion. As the king's third cousin, Andrew might have a close relationship with the lion. Princess Diana's children don't have a good relationship with Camilla. What is her relationship like with her stepchild Sticks and Stones? Queen Camilla and her stepson Prince William still have a lot to work on in what royal experts have called a complicated relationship. William puts up with his stepmother, who has always been a little afraid of him, but the heir to the British throne has warmed up to Camilla over time, according to a Parker Bow family friend. However, there are still some problems to solve. Duke of Cornwall and Camilla, 77, had an affair with King Charles while he was married to the late Princess Diana. William and Harry had always disliked and mistrusted Camilla because they were so close to their mother. They never felt comfortable opening up to her in any real way. Camilla and Charles, who was then the prince, got married in April 2005, almost 10 years after Diana's death. At worst, they're portrayed as cold and neglectful, and at best, they pose a treacherous threat. This is exactly how Prince Harry described his stepmother Camilla Parker B.S., now the Queen Consort, in his memoir. In his book, The Duke of Sussex, he wrote that he and Prince William begged their father not to marry Camilla in 2005. Charles, who is now king, had been having an affair with Camilla during his 15-year marriage to Princess Diana. Harry and William told their father not to do it, but he was going ahead anyway, so they pumped his hand and wished him well, saying that they had no hard feelings. Harry wrote in spare that they knew he was finally going to be with the woman he loved, the woman he'd always loved. In parts that many stepchildren will relate to, Harry thinks back on the hard times he had getting used to his father's new marriage. In one story, probably from the late 1990s, Harry wonders if Camilla will be mean to him like all the mean stepmothers in stories, pointing out that William had long had suspicions about the other woman. Harry also says that when Harry moved out of Clarence's house, where they used to live, when he was 28, Camilla turned his bedroom into her own personal dressing room. Harry also said that Camilla had a plan to fix her public image as the other woman, which led to her marriage and eventual title as Queen Consort. During her relationship with Charles before he became king, Camilla was known for doing charity work and royal duties to fix her image, which were recognized by the late Queen Elizabeth, who gave her daughter-in-law a consort title on the eve of her Platinum Jubilee, but Harry thinks Camilla went even further to improve her image with the public. In spare, Harry wrote that his father and Camilla's spin doctor decided to throw Harry under the bus. He said that they leaked information about his drug use in 2002, saying that Prince Charles sent Harry to a drug rehab center to get people to feel sorry for Charles as a father and for their relationship. There is no love lost. Prince Harry's relationship with Queen Camilla is in shambles, and reports say that they probably won't get back together. Harry and Camilla's relationship has been in shambles for years, and many people think that Harry's memoirs caused a big rift between them. Camilla thinks that Harry is a wolf in sheep's clothing, and that he causes stress and drama in every situation. She thinks that any interaction King Charles has with him is a sign of this. It will be bad for his health and the health of the family as a whole if Harry gets the invite back to the UK. He should stay away from Camilla. What do you think about Camilla's relationship with Prince Charles? Do you think she had anything to do with the death of the Princess of Wales? Let us know in the comments. Do not forget to like, share, and subscribe for more videos.